The University of Missouri Hearnes Center. Tonight's matchup features the Missouri Tigers and the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Here are the starting lineups. First for Rutgers. At one forward, a 6'8 junior, number 31, Keith Hughes. At a forward, a 6'7 freshman, number 44, Donnell Lumpkin. At center, a 6'7 senior, number 33, Lee Perry. At a guard, a 6'3 junior, number 3, Earl Duncan. At a guard, a 6'4 freshman, number 15, Mike Jones. Here's the starting lineup for the Missouri Tigers. At a forward, a 6'10 junior, number 34, Doug Smith. At a forward, a 6'9 senior, number 22, Nathan Bunton. At a guard, a 6'1 senior, number 4, Lee Howard. At a guard, a 6'5 senior, number 23, John McIntyre. And at a guard, a 6'4 sophomore, number 44, Anthony Peeler.
Norm Stewart celebrated his 55th birthday with that win over Kansas at his alma mater in his 23rd year here, his 29th year overall. And at the helm of the Scarlet Knights in his second year, Bob Wenzel. He also an alum of the school he is coaching, like Norm Stewart is. The Knights with a huge task on the road tonight against Missouri. The opening tap is next.
The bill consolidation loan, I guess, is one of the main purposes customers make.
66 when they went 22-7 after beating Missouri. And it's the first time the Tigers have been ranked in 8 years since Stepanovich was here. And they are tough to beat at home. This is a big place, but a crowd that's very close to the floor at the Hearnes Center, seating 13,000 plus. Tigers in their home whites, Rutgers in their scarlet on the road. It's Lee Perry and Doug Smith who wins the tap back to Lee Coward, and the Tigers are on the attack.
And Rutgers opens immediately in a 2-3 zone. They're going to try to play zone in an attempt to slow down the Missouri Tigers. Look for them to pack it inside, trying to keep the ball away from Smith and Bunting.
That's bad news against the zone as far as they're concerned. Anthony Peeler from the right wing with a 3.
We talked about all the weapons that Missouri has. Peeler from three-point range is one of them. Missouri opens into man-to-man.
Hughes for the right side, and that is a 3.
Hughes, even though he plays inside for Rutgers, has real fine range on that jump shot.
Inside, outside, they call him their best player. He showed it on the first time down the floor. Tigers working around now. Peeler's on the left wing.
Really have to be conscious if you're in that zone of Peeler slashing through.
McIntyre a little long. Smith hustling for the offensive board, but Donnell Lumpkin got it. A freshman who's really doing the job so far, as he's actually being forced to do the job. And a good move flashing in by Mike Jones. He too a freshman. This guy out of Morrisville, PA, and Rutgers with a 2-point lead, 1:09 in.
Nobody stopped Mike Jones. He just took the ball all the way to the basket. What a task, Bob, if you're a freshman coming in to play the #1 team in the country.
Peeler on good defense by Lumpkin. Lumpkin, one of those Jersey players who has stayed home out of South Brunswick. Howard and McIntyre playing catch. Right side, Peeler. Mike Jones watching him. They switch it. Howard looks down for Smith. Too tall for him. On the baseline. Retrieving it was Peeler, but he was on the baseline.
Real good defense inside by Rutgers. Missouri thus far has not been able to successfully get the ball inside against the half-court defense. That's exactly what Rutgers wants.
Knights on top by a couple.
Bob Wenzel would also like his team on offense to hold the ball a little bit before they shoot, but of course if you're Lee Perry and you have an open jumper, why not stick it in the basket?
7-3 Rutgers. McIntyre tries to take 3 off of that. He does. Johnny Mack, as they call him here, hitting 45% from that range. It gets it back to 1. Tigers as a team 36% from long range. Foot pass, Earl Duncan looking one way, passing the other, and Rutgers not intimidated at all so far.
Earl Duncan does a real nice job here as he catches the basketball. Watch how he spins, waits until McIntyre clears so he doesn't dribble, then McIntyre trying to come over and help. Doug Smith went to pick up Duncan, wasn't there for Perry. Perry lays it in. This guy, Bob, is not really known as a scorer. Bob Wenzel not relying on him for scoring ability, so it's a big bonus when he's playing well offensively.
5 points early. 2 minutes and 15 seconds in, 10-6 Rutgers.
And Rutgers with some zone press right there. That's a bit of a surprise.
Doug Smith does a 360 and commits an offensive foul. Dick Paparo right on top of the play.
Norm Stewart taking a look there. Doug Smith runs very, very well in the open court. That time on the spin move, spun right into Keith Hughes, who had the position established. That's a good call.
Earl Duncan looks bigger than 6'3", and he hits from downtown Columbia. His first three, he's a 40% shooter, and it's 13-6 in the first 2.5 minutes.
One thing that Rutgers desperately needed to do was to come out and start quickly, and they certainly have done that. Real nice zone defense inside.
Keeler forcing his way in. Button unable to get the offensive tap. Cleared away by Hughes, who outlets, and here comes Duncan.
Duncan, like Hughes, a transfer from Syracuse. Missouri stays in that man-to-man.
Nothing but net for Keith Hughes. A couple of threes for him.
Get a look at Bob Wenzel. Bob, it's an interesting thing. That's Hughes' three-pointer, number 18 on the year. The leading three-point shooter for Missouri is John McIntyre, who has but 24. So that gives you an indication of what a great three-point shooter Hughes is.
Button got a tip of his miss. A falling Knight, but the ball stays alive. We have a whistle, and it's traveling on Donnell Lumpkin. After all that trouble for Bob Wenzel's team to get the ball, then they travel with it with a chance to increase a quick 10-point lead.
Everybody laying on the ground in here. Lumpkin was probably happy to be out of that pack.
Down deep, Peeler, great feed for Smith. No foul, but it's knocked over the baseline.
Rutgers reacting very well to the basketball. Lumpkin going for the steal and missing, but his teammates helping him out. Here you get a chance here. Hughes coming over the back and blocking, and now as we come back to live action, Lee Perry is going to get called for the foul.
The Tigers got the ball inbounds to 6'1" Lee Coward, standing just inside the baseline. He did a turn and a shot. Perry fouled him, and Coward, an 86% free throw shooter, will go to the line. Nearing 400 assists in his career. He has started now in the last 4 games. Missed 3 with a cracked rib, and over his last half dozen games, he's really prospering from being back in the starting lineup, averaging 16 points and 5 boards. Pretty good rebounding for a 6'1" guard. His free throws make it 16-8.
Howard now going to pick up Duncan a little further down the court. Mike Jones, very good ball handler, really quick, scrappy player.
There's a tip away by Smith. Peeler running around Lumpkin with the slam and a foul.
Bob, we saw Anthony Peeler open the game with a three-point shot. There's Doug Smith with real good defense. Now watch Peeler's speed with the basketball. Just blows by Lumpkin. This is a guy who just made a three-pointer, now comes down with a full-court dunk. And this kid's only a sophomore.
You had to remind some Big 8 coaches, didn't you? They are sick facing this guy for the next couple of seasons. 4 minutes in now, the Tigers have it back to a 5-point spread.
1-2-2 zone press by Missouri. There's Peeler again.
Peeler with a steal and a foul on Mike Jones at midcourt. A timeout on the floor. 4:04 in. Rutgers big early, but now it's all Tigers.
An early 5-point lead, and much of it is on the strength of their defense. In a 2-3 zone, very conscious of the inside. You can see when the ball does go in there, they collapse around the ball. secure the rebound. Excellent defense by Rutgers.
They're hoping to protect number 1 longer than they did in '82. They were on top for 2 weeks, and then Nebraska beat them here. Nice dump down deep. Peeler got it to the big man, and Nathan Button going up was fouled. It'll be called on Daryl Smith, who just checked in.
Anthony Peeler, we saw him with the three-point shot, we saw him with the steal, and then the length of the court dunk. That time, Norm Stewart inserting him at the high post area, that zone defense. Excellent pass inside to force that foul.
The foul was on 32, Daryl Smith. And the Tigers now are 4 in a row at the line. Bunton's first points of the night. There's Daryl, who just came in. Bunton with a couple, and he just passed his coach Norm Smith from the all-time Missouri scoring list. That's the third, Norm Stewart, that is the third Tiger to pass the head coach on the scoring list this year. And Rutgers is now 7 of 7 from the floor.
Rutgers did a nice job the last time against the Missouri press. Duncan taking advantage of Missouri trying to set its half-court defense and scoring. Missouri trying to get the ball up the court quickly. Here's that zone again. 2-3 zone. You can see Hughes trying very hard to stay in front of the big guys down inside.
There's the three from the right corner. The southpaw Peeler, 9 points.
That's what you mean when you talk about an inside game and an outside game working in concert. Rutgers trying to cut off that inside game. Missouri scoring the three.
Rutgers shooting just beautifully so far. That's the first miss. Smith had position, and on his back was Lee Perry.
Bob, you talked before the game about how thin Rutgers is inside. Lee Perry, that's 2 fouls now against him.
And 5 team fouls on the Scarlet Knights. Tom Everson, a 7-foot senior center, is in. Kind of a bump and grind guy, not in there to do a whole lot of scoring.
Well, he's in there to help cover up that inside.
There's Button with the turnaround, a little too strong. Everson couldn't get the rebound, and the Tigers skying as Button went up again, but coming down with it, Mike Jones.
Button and Smith are just tremendous on that offensive board.
Trying to get his own was Daryl Smith. Here come the Tigers. Power down the middle, men on the wings, and to the hoop is Smith, but he traveled.
Smith not very happy with the call, but he showed you right there his ability to run the court. Really got down the court quickly. It looked like Coward didn't have an opportunity to set up the fast break, but suddenly there's Smith flying down the wing. Get a wide look at the man-to-man defense by Missouri.
On top to Duncan. Way up in the corner of the Hearnes Center as we look down, and Duncan penetrates down to the baseline. Earl Duncan off to a fast start with 8 points.
Duncan comes in with the reputation. He's a big-time guard, and he's shown it so far.
Button, baseline right, and Peeler is on his way to a big night with 11 points in the first 6 minutes and 15 seconds.
He had 24 in that big win against Kansas on Saturday.
Jones, a fancy dribble with McIntyre watching him. He lost it, but his teammates kept it, and a fancy turnaround won't go for Keith Hughes. Out of bounds, it belongs to Mizzou. They have a chance to tie this time down the floor as Bob Wenzel makes a substitution. Norm Stewart on the officials as Craig Carter, a 6'3" junior out of Brooklyn, is in. And sitting down was Mike Jones.
Craig Carter, number 23, started every game last year for Rutgers.
Smith from the free throw line couldn't hit it. McIntyre with the loose ball in the shot. John McIntyre with 5, a dangerous outside shooter. Earlier this year, Nolan Richardson at Arkansas told us he was the Tiger he was concerned about most. You know the other guys are going to have a big game. If he does, you're dead.
McIntyre's a tremendous athlete. He can really get up for his size. Good shooter. There just isn't anybody on this Missouri team that you can lay off.
Everson with a left-hander. And the rebound taken down by Nathan Button. Peeler running, penetrating, shooting, and fouling his man with the offensive foul.
Rutgers has thus far done a pretty good job stopping Peeler's penetration. That time Carter stepping in, taking the shot, taking the charge. He get a chance to see Peeler. Now this is just a bad decision. Rutgers is back set on defense. It's really a 1-on-5 right there. Peeler creates the charge.
Will Smith did a nice job of taking the charge. Duncan for Carter. And Carter, after being fouled by Coward, banks one off the glass. It'll be number 1 on Lee Coward. And the Tigers will have their 4th team foul.
Scarlet Knights doing a pretty good job setting screens up in the top of the key area. That time Missouri did not do a very good job handling the screen. Here you see Doug Smith is late getting over on that screen. Allows the penetration by Carter. Coward trying to help out fouls him.
Jay McGinnis, a 6'9" senior center in. Everson takes a seat. And at the line is Craig Carter. Looked like Craig knew that one was short and he was ready to rebound it himself, but it's a 2-shot foul.
It's much better to get it there, Bob. Don't worry about the rebound.
And he missed them both. Darrell Smith may have traveled. He was sandwiched by a couple of Tigers, and then when he got control, he slid the feet. And a turnover for the Scarlet Knights. It's a 20-20 game. We're almost 8 minutes in. They were off to a 16-6 run. Off the miss by Coward. Here come the Knights. Running is Duncan. 4-on-2. Left side. Smith lost it. Got it back. Missed on the layup. And McGinnis scores and draws the foul.
Nice job by Rutgers to stay after it. Missouri playing very good defense in the transition. Coward gets a block shot on the first one. There's Coward slapping that ball away. Smith recovers. Bunton blocks it. Not too often you get 2 shots blocked right in a row, but then you stay with it and stick it in, does McGinnis.
Knights not shooting well from the line now. McGinnis got his first 2. Striking stat, Doug Smith, 8 minutes in, no points, 2 fouls.
Zone defense is doing an excellent job collapsing back inside. You can see those really covering up against Smith.
McIntyre, and that's a 3. Bunton kicked the ball back outside, and John McIntyre has 8 points.
Bob, when you're playing a team like Missouri that's got weapons in all areas of the court, when you take something away, you give something up. Thus far, Missouri taking advantage.
And nothing but net for Keith Hughes. That's his 3rd 3 of the night.
Nathan Bunton, matched up against Hughes, isn't used to playing against guys who are going to stand out there and poke that 3-pointer.
There's another one from Lee Coward.
I'll tell you what, let's just forget playing on the inside of that line. We'll just play on the outside of that line.
High-scoring game, 9 minutes in. Teams are at least halfway to 50, each of them.
Bob Wenzel was hoping to maybe run a little time off the clock. Certainly none of that's gone on.
We haven't even mentioned the shot clock yet. There's Duncan for 3. Little strong with it. And Nathan Bunton gets the long rebound. Coward running for Missouri.
I'm sure Bob Wenzel would prefer that his team move that Missouri defense a few times before they launch one, if for no other reason than to be in better rebounding position.
Bunton kicks it outside. Coward missed the 3. Long rebound. Nathan Bunton. You'll see those off the 3-point attempts. Here's Smith looking for his first points. Rebound. Bunton muscles inside and draws the foul. McGinnis on him.
Missouri, we mentioned, being very strong on the inside. They showed it with that series of rebounds, but they also passed the ball extremely well. Nice ball movement that time by the Tigers. You can see McGinnis, he picked up the foul.
First appearance for Billy Martin of Rutgers, a 6'6" senior out of the New York area, North Babylon. He was a player that Coach Wenzel told us this afternoon was not expected to play in the game. Maybe in there to give somebody a breather. Doug Smith will be replaced by Jeff Warren, a freshman out of Litchfield, Michigan.
That's right, Bob. Well, Bob Wenzel told us that Martin was not going to play, but then again, he also told us they were going to try to hold the ball a little bit.
This This is also the man whose pregame prognostication was, let's take the air out of the ball, play some zone, and go get a pizza. I think he's taking it a little more seriously than that. His team got off to a great start tonight, trying to hang with Missouri now with better than half of the first half remaining. And Nathan Bunton cools off the hot Missouri shooting from the free throw line.
Shows you the kind of versatility that Anthony Peeler has. He's been playing an inside guy, but now with that substitution, he's going to guard Duncan.
And Duncan, so quick on the baseline. Nice work after receiving the pass, and he has 10.
Peeler got picked off. Excellent ball movement by Rutgers.
Travis Ford in the game for Mizzou, number 5 at the point. Right wing shot, and that's a 3 for Peeler. He has 14, scoring at better than a point a minute pace.
You know, a lot of people think the book on Peeler is to just play his drive. Make him shoot that three-pointer.
Boy, Duncan's having a great night so far. That's 12 for the 6'3 junior out of L.A.
That's one way to keep Peeler occupied. Keep taking the ball at him when he's on defense.
A lot of folks thought he would go back out west after leaving Syracuse, but he went from Syracuse to Jersey. And are they glad he did? Nathan Bunton had it tipped. Out of bounds, it'll belong to the Tigers. Timeout on the floor, 9:22 first half, and it's a 29-all tie. Stewart has won here in Columbia.
Not too many 42-41 games in this day and age in the Big 8, though, Bob.
That's halftime in the Big 8 now.
Travis Ford with the ball, number 5 in the game from Missouri.
With McIntyre out on top as Lee Coward gets a bit of a breather. We've got Jeff Warren down deep. This is Peeler on the wing. In the middle is Bunton, and Ford missing badly as Donnell Lumpkin picks up the rebound. 29-all is the score as we come out of the timeout. Little strong there was Lumpkin. He kind of stood and watched his shot from 20 feet or so. And Peeler penetrates. Quick with the left hand, but not in. Bunton the rebound, and he can't hit. And then Peeler tried to steal. Running is Mike Jones. Duncan in for 2.
At 6 of 7 now for Duncan from the floor. He's having a big basketball game.
We'll check his scoring. I've got him for 14. There's Travis Ford out on top. Peeler on the wing.
With Doug Smith out of the ball game, you can see Rutgers changing the zone a little bit, trying to cover that perimeter shot. Not well enough right there. McIntyre with another 3.
He has 11 on the night, and the Tigers have the lead by 1 with 7:50 remaining now. And there's a 3 from the left wing for Keith Hughes. He has a dozen. What a ball game for the Scarlet Knights on the road so far.
One of the strengths of this Scarlet Knight basketball team is their ability to shoot the basketball, and they're showing that today. There's a foul inside against Mike Jones.
Jones with his second foul as Nathan Bunton put the ball to the floor. Doug Smith set to check back in for the Tigers.
Normally putting the basketball on the floor against a zone that's going to collapse in on top of you is not a very good idea, but Nathan Bunton showing some pretty good strength, able to handle the ball inside and get it to the basket to draw the foul.
Ray Carter back in as Jones sits down with 2 points and 2 fouls. For the first time tonight, the Tigers will call on Brad Sutton, the 6'9 senior. Another one of that Michigan connection out of Grand Rapids. Jeff Warren has a seat. Tigers suddenly have gone cold from the free throw line.
Well, the wrong guys are at the free throw line. When Peeler and Smith are there, they're going to make them. But with Bunton at the free throw line, he comes in shooting just 53%.
Tigers will shoot some free throws down the stretch. The Knights are already in the penalty situation. Missouri has a couple to give with only 5 team fouls.
Now here's Rutgers in a little bit of a delay game. Bob Wenzel said they were going to try to take the air out of the ball at various spots in the game, and he's picked a spot right here with his team leading by 2. 15 seconds left on the 45-second shot clock.
Duncan and Peeler one-on-one. Here's Hughes inside 5 with the shot. McGinnis kept it alive, and Hughes can't stick it. McGinnis keeps it alive again, and the Knights will get 45 more seconds.
Boy, great work on the board by McGinnis And by Hughes in there, you don't expect to get offensive rebounds against this Missouri team.
And foul number 2 on Anthony Peeler reaching in. Missouri will shuttle 3 players in when we come back. The Knights, though, on top by 2. And Bonner, Bob Carpenter, and Rutgers. Impressive on the road so far, up by a couple. 3-point shooting for each team. Between the teams, Dan, 67%, a collective 12 of 18.
I think the interesting thing about that graphic, though, Bob, is with that kind of shooting going on, it's obviously a perimeter game. And if it's a perimeter game, I think it favors that man's team right there because Missouri isn't using that inside strength.
But how long will it stay that way? In for Higgins. He was partially blocked by Doug Smith on the set play out of the timeout. Poor. And kind of a shuffle by Sutton and a foul. What a shot that was by Brad Sutton.
One of the few times today that Missouri's really been able to get the ball and get off on the fast break. Ford does a nice job forcing the defense down to the baseline to pick him up. McGinnis, if he's going to stay in that position, just keep his feet on the floor because Sutton probably would have charged, but with McGinnis creating the contact, Sutton's going to get the hoop and a chance for 3.
The guy who's a pretty good shooter but doesn't get a chance to score much. Back in the game, the big senior center at 7 feet, Tom Everson. McGinnis, who did a good job on the boards. Couple of fouls, couple of rebounds, and 2 points. And the Tigers by 1.
McGinnis and Everson both in there to bang against those Missouri inside people.
Carter with a strong drive for the baseline right. Craig Carter's first 2.
The offensive set for Rutgers really pulling the Missouri inside people up to the free throw lane, creating some opportunities along the baseline for the guard.
Left side of your screen, 32, Jamal Coleman in for the first time. He can't reach the errant pass, and it'll belong to Rutgers as Norm Stewart, his team in a non-conference clash here tonight, getting all they want from Rutgers. Tigers have won 28 consecutive non-conference games here. Lumpkin with a long miss on a 3. Lee Coward with the long rebound. It's 4 on 3 as he goes into the paint. Blocked by Everson. Coleman keeps it alive. Nothing there for him. And the Knights with Duncan come away with it.
The longer Rutgers hangs in this game, Bob, the more confidence they get. And Missouri looks like they're in for a real dogfight here.
We're going to have one official overruling another here. Dick Paparo will call an offensive foul, a defensive foul on Jamal Coleman. It was to be an offensive foul on the first whistle.
Well, the ruling to be that the contact by Coleman occurs before Duncan runs in. Here comes Duncan with the basketball. You see Jamal Coleman. Coleman is going to reach in right there. He's called for the push before Duncan runs into Sutton. No question that Sutton has the position, but the call by the official is that hand of Coleman on Earl Duncan's hip.
Earl Duncan with his 14th point of the night.
Duncan doing a nice job. He's penetrated by people all evening long. Does it to Jamal Coleman right there. Sutton in great position, but the first foul occurred before that one.
Duncan puts them both down. He has 15. And our first look at Rick Datica, 6'2" senior out of Elmwood Park, New Jersey. Duncan, a well-deserved breather, a big first half as he has 15 of Rutgers' 38 points.
And you better believe he won't be out of the ball game long. Rutgers stays in that 2-3 zone defense.
Ford and Coward out on top for Mizzou. Jamal Coleman rotates out there. Ford gets it into it for the entry pass with Smith, who was short on the jumper. He couldn't get it over the iron. And now we're almost 15 minutes into the game without Doug Smith scoring.
That's a credit to Rutgers' defense. That zone defense has really forced Smith to take tough shots when he's gotten the ball in there at all.
Hughes trying to work off an Everson pick. Datica will run the offense. He's one of the all-time assist leaders at Rutgers, but not playing a whole lot now. Keith Hughes, unbelievable from outside tonight. That's his 5th 3 in the first half.
That's amazing. I mean, that was a long 3 right there. That was about a 3.5 pointer. He was far away from the basket. Nathan Bunton's going to have to get out there and guard him.
Penn State kept him scoreless for the first half the other night. He got a dozen after intermission to help the Knights to a win over the Nittany Lions in the Atlantic 10, where they're 4-3. Inside Smith, around Everson, and now he's on the scoreboard.
Boy, what a move by Smith. The ball fake there. Defense steps one step, and that's enough for Smith to scoot by.
Danica against Ford. Keith Hughes on fire. Smith watching him. Everson at the high post. Danica for Hughes. Sets his feet. Blocked by Smith. Bunton back to Doug, and here we go. Danica fouls him to prevent the slam.
And it's going to be ruled an intentional foul. And that's really a tough play for Rutgers right there. Smith's going to get the 2 free throws. Missouri going to get the ball. Missouri beginning to take Keith Hughes seriously from out of three-point range. Doug Smith doing a great job getting out and blocking the shot. Then he starts off down the court after the block. Bunton sees him, gets the ball there. Datica with the defense. Called for the intentional foul.
Couple of shots and possession for Missouri. Down by 4 with exactly 4 minutes left. But they still have gone cold from the line. Doug Smith with 3 on the night. Tigers will have the ball when we come back. 41-38 Rutgers.
Leading by 3. Doug Smith has had a tough night inside all night. Here he senses that there's a place on the baseline for him. That fake drives Lumpkin away, cuts to the basket. Doug Smith, that was his first 2 of the game. Pretty big factor, as you can see right there, and why Rutgers is still in this ball game. Smith averaging almost 19 points a game.
Tigers with the ball after they made 1 out of 2 following the intentional foul by Datica. McIntyre, after having it switched to him, looks down, says nobody guards me, I'll take the 3. Missing, Smith keeps it alive, and he guns again. McIntyre with 14 in the first half.
Peeler and McIntyre really answering the bell from outside, since the inside really has been fairly effectively cut off by Rutgers.
3.5 left, tied at 41. Offensive show this evening. This is one of them. Keith Hughes, one of the big players tonight.
You see Nathan Bunton, he's guarding Keith Hughes all over the court right now. And there's a 3 by Lumpkin.
He's not shy for a freshman. He's shooting 46% from that range, leading the Knights, but his first points of the evening. Here's Coward trying to match it. Coward has 8 with a couple of 3s, and it's 44 all. That took a grand total of about 30 seconds to see each team bury a 3. Lumpkin.
And there's Coward with the rebound.
He gets some, averaging a couple a game and a bunch over his last 6. A big, strong drive by Nathan Bunton. Hard to not foul him when he's coming through the lane unless you want to let him go all the way.
You can see a very good view from our camera angle right there. On the fast break, Coward finding Ford in the corner. Ford with a great pass inside.
Rick Datica back in for Rutgers. Heath Carter takes a seat. At the line, Nathan Bunton.
Tremendous rebounder. Number 2 rebounder in the Big 8.
Well, he's had 11 double-doubles this year. He had 22 points and 10 boards against Kansas on Saturday. The Lauren Stewart's team still not shooting well from the line. They're now 4 out of 9. Bunton with his 3rd point of the night.
We might mention Anthony Peeler sitting on the bench. He's got 2 personal fouls. He was a big offensive factor for Missouri early.
Tigers haven't held on to the lead long tonight.
Nice job. Nice job by Smith to get down and help out against Duncan,
who is short with the jumper. McIntyre the rebound. Angles it for Coward. Man open underneath. And he dumps it forward to McIntyre. And Bunton had offensive rebounding position. Everson on the foul. Nice ball movement by the Tigers.
This is just textbook moving the basketball in the transition situation. Coward very nearly gets caught up in the air. Over the head pass by Ford. When you move the ball like that, it creates situations where your guys inside can get good position. Bunton got fouled. Now he makes the first free throw.
Nathan Bunton has 5 tonight, all from the line. Tigers with their biggest lead, 3.
This is the first real big rush by Missouri, Bob. It'll be interesting to see how Rutgers handles itself. It's important right now to show some poise.
Gattaca against Ford as they line up at the top of the circle again.
A little delay game offense, trying to run some time off the clock.
Shot clock approaching 20. Game clock with 1:40 remaining in the first half.
Nice job by Smith. He's really helping out on the top of the key now.
Boy, Hughes is looking for a shot. Off the glass too strong. Outlet, Smith to Ford for 3. Rebound, Hughes.
Boy, that was a major league outlet pass by Doug Smith. That ball came out of there like a bullet.
1:15 remaining in the half. Rutgers down by 3, but I would have to think very pleased to be in this position.
Watch Doug Smith matched up against Everson. He's playing off of him, really doing a good job helping out.
Gattaca for Duncan. Quick dribble in the paint, and Lumpkin waits for a 2. 5 for Donnell Lumpkin tonight, and a 1-point Missouri lead.
Great penetration by Duncan makes that play go. Here's the 2-3 zone. Again, they've done a nice job cutting off the inside game of the Missouri Tigers.
Shot clock is about 8 seconds less than the game clock.
That's the game clock you're seeing in the right-hand corner of your screen.
Shot clock is down to 15 right now.
Boy, Smith and Everson really banging one another inside.
Smith gets the lob pass, back out to Coward, penetration, McIntyre! Tigers by 3, 5 seconds left, Duncan with it. Too strong and over the glass with time expiring in a scintillating first half here in Columbia. The Tigers get a huge first half from John McIntyre with 16, Anthony Peeler with 14, most of them early, but the Scarlet Knights are right in the ballgame. 20 minutes in the books, Missouri 49-46, and Chris Fowler, a great first half from the home of the #1 Tigers.
Right, Bob. Rutgers trying to spoil the party. Missouri has now the momentum at intermission. Rutgers took on Syracuse when the Orangemen were #1 up in the Carrier Dome earlier this season and lost that one, trying to spoil the party at Missouri tonight.
You know what, over Rutgers, the Knights come into this game 8-9 on the season this evening. But in every sports poll around the nation, AP, UPI, and others, the Tigers are #1. But where does that leave Rutgers? Playing very well tonight. A team not even at the 500 mark and hanging right with one of the best teams in the nation on their home court, where they've been almost unbeatable, and they've won 28 consecutive games against non-conference opponents.
Just about every court in the Big 8 is a difficult place to play when you're on the road. Here, Rutgers, you can see the problems that they have when they're not leading at halftime. They're, of course, behind by 3 at halftime. Let's remember, Rutgers last year was 10-12, then rattled off 8 wins in a row to get themselves into the NCAA tournament. So this is a team that is still developing. In a game like this, if they can hang in here the second half, particularly if they pull off the upset, this would have to do a lot for the Rutgers program, particularly this team this year.
You would have to think so. Some of those Jersey guys would stay home. Great players out of that state.
We talked about, for Bob Wenzel, how his 2 big-time players, Duncan and Hughes, had to have big-time games. They've got 15 apiece at halftime and are leading the way for the Scarlet Knights.
There's Hughes. Watching him is Nathan Bunton, and just what you don't want out of the locker room. A turnover as he traveled a good 25 feet from the basket.
Well, of course, that's when where he's been most dangerous, is 25 feet from the basket. Bunton out playing very tough against him. Here's that 2-3 zone again.
McIntyre for Peeler. There's Smith. Doug Smith. So the two worst things that could happen to Rutgers, a turnover and Doug Smith right onto the scoreboard.
Real crisp passing by the Missouri Tigers. Beat the zone. That's one of the few times they've been able to get the ball in there.
And their lead stays at 5 on the miss. Jones picking up the miss, missing, and on the baseline with the travel was Lee Perry.
Rutgers continues to battle on the boards, but you're right, Bob. This is a very key stretch of the game for Rutgers. They don't want Missouri to get off on a roll here and get way down.
Either right wing, Coward, baseline right. What's the 6'1" guy doing open down there?
Well, what he's doing down there is running through the zone, coming back out on the baseline. That's something that 2-3 zone is not designed to handle. That is Coward down inside.
Nice turnaround. Earl Duncan with 17 this evening. 4 over his average already. There's Coward penetrating. Button receives it. I don't know if it was blocked or just short, but that was good D by the Knights.
Good recovery by Rutgers. Usually penetration will kill a zone, but Rutgers recovered nicely.
Hughes open, short on the 3. Perry after it, and into the crowd it goes. It'll belong to Missouri.
Hughes 5 of 6 from three-point range in the first half. 0 of 2 in this half. People going after the basketball right here.
Looked like off the left foot of Lee Perry.
Looked like also Perry had his foot out of bounds when he touched the ball. There's Jay McGinnis.
He's been running a shuttle in and out with Tom Everson as they bring the big guys one at a time. There's Peeler dishing and missing the layup. Was Smith. Bunton kept it alive though for Mizzou. Back out more offense from McIntyre as they got 45 more on the shot clock. Coward thought about it from 3. And Peeler back to McIntyre. There's Doug Smith. And it was slapped out of his hands by Donnell Lumpkin.
A little bit different look in the zone defense for Rutgers, Bob. They're lining up in almost a 1-2-2 zone, and then they're sort of matching up against Missouri.
McIntyre open on the inbounds play for a 2, and he has 18.
He's just had a marvelous game, and Earl Duncan dribbles the ball to half court, calls timeout.
First timeout used by either coach tonight. It comes 2:19 into the second half. Missouri's biggest lead, 7:55. And a shooting match tonight with John McIntyre doing it for the Tigers. He just hit a 2 for 18, and Duncan has a field goal since intermission. 17 for the Scarlet Knights.
McIntyre was the only one of the Missouri starters who did not score 20 on Saturday against Kansas. He saved it today.
There's a whistle foul. Keith Hughes on the shot. Appeared to be a foul away from the ball. The Antlers are out in full force tonight. One of the more interesting groups of students in America, and that's probably the best way to describe them and not get them too mad at you. They can be a brutal group if you're an opposing team. Darrell Smith back in. Hughes at the line after the foul from Nathan Bunton, his first.
Hughes really hasn't been doing too much operation inside offensively. That's a real good move by Bob Wenzel to post him down inside. Have him attack Bunton and Smith in there. Hughes did all his damage from three-point range in the first half, but as we mentioned, he's cooled off in the second half, so why not stick him inside, see what he can do.
Knights are 5 out of 7 from the line. Missouri had 9 more free throws in the first half than did Rutgers as the Knights go full court with the press. And now as Missouri gets it in, they get down court.
1-2-1-1 press now. Back into that 2-3 zone.
Forward from McIntyre. In for Smith. He lost it, but it was out of bounds off the Knights. McGinnis was defending against Smith there. Also scrambling in was Darrell Smith.
McGinnis out of bounds. Now he watched the zone, trying to stay inside.
And then on the ensuing inbounds play, Nathan Bunton opened down deep. His first field goal of the night. His 7 points put the Tigers up by 7. And a stuff by McIntyre on Mike Jones.
We talked about the athletic ability of John McIntyre that time, moving his feet very well, getting up and blocking the shot of Mike Jones.
Duncan to Jones. McGinnis baseline right, kicked back out on top by Daryl Smith. Jones into the paint. McIntyre all over him, got his own. Loose ball somehow finds Duncan 30 feet away. And he penetrates to score. He's their go-to man tonight.
Boy, good scrap by Jones to keep that ball alive.
Peeler and Coward playing catch on the right side. Peeler got his man off the floor. Coward for three. And Lee Coward has 13 tonight.
Boy, the perimeter game for Missouri has really come on strong today.
You know, this versatility of theirs, Dan, is bad news for the rest of the league because everybody's going to be keying on their inside game.
You figure that's a smart move, but these guys have just been murdered from the perimeter tonight. Nice defense by Bunt.
Ooh, Smith drains a three from outside. That was a two, we'll correct it. His first field goal of the night. Peeler got a man down, and he hits from the right side. Anthony Peeler with 16.
He made that look awfully easy, but he dribbled in there. The guy fell down. The guy's underneath his feet. He still goes up for the jump shot and buries it.
Looking short, missed everything. Here come the Tigers. McIntyre to the glass, and he didn't use the glass, but Smith is there for the follow. McIntyre went with a finger roll, and Smith now has 7 points. Tigers into double figures lead. They've never been that far ahead this evening. McIntyre with a reach-in foul.
Doug Smith, you see right there, was in pretty good position to draw the offensive foul, but that's 2 times in this ball game that we've seen the officials call somebody for reaching in just before a Missouri defender is able to draw the charge.
Ray Carter and Lee Perry back in for Rutgers.
Rutgers really needs a hoop badly here.
Down by 10. At the half, it was a 3-point spread. Carter travel.
You just get the sense that Missouri is taking control of this basketball game. Bob Wenzel probably has the same feeling and is not very pleased about it. The second half, Bob, Missouri has done an excellent job moving the basketball against this zone.
Nathan Button off of McIntyre, feet unable to hit. Boards were cleared by Lee Perry. Duncan to Hughes. Whoa! How fast did he get in for the slam? Even the Antlers were silenced on that one. To the baseline, Nathan Button dribbling it off his leg. Out of bounds, and Rutgers can get it back close. They're down by 8.
Nathan Button and Doug Smith are a great combination in that high-low passing game, but that time Smith didn't do his buddy any favors because he threw him the ball. He was surrounded by 4 Scarlet Knight defenders.
Duncan got it back from Perry. Now he penetrates, double pumps, and what a move. Earl Duncan with 21.
Duncan and Hughes answering the call right there. Rutgers down 10. Now they've cut it back to 6. Peeler,
Nice little one-touch into Button across the key for Smith. And luckily for the Tigers, they still have the ball. Duncan hustling, almost coming up with the steal.
Zone reacting very well. Button got the ball inside, didn't really turn to the basket. Zone doing a nice job. There's Coward for 3. He's got it.
Lee Coward with 16 tonight.
If you're on defense playing against Missouri, you can just never relax. They're playing in that zone. You figure they're just throwing the ball inbounds just to get it inbounds, and bingo, Coward buries it.
Missouri's 11th three-pointer there ties a school record for one game. 33 of their points off the three-point shot this evening.
Well, a good basketball team will take advantage of its opportunities, and those are the opportunities with which Rutgers has presented Missouri.
Inside, Duncan from Smith. Doug Smith blocks Perry. Here come the Tigers, 4-on-2 and traveling on Coward. He reversed his field, but that might have worked next door on the football field, but over here you've got to put it on the floor.
He had a defender in his path, just was figured before he dribbled it, he'd just step around him. And
well, he found the open hole. The ball just never went to the floor quickly enough.
That's a good move as long as the air doesn't go in the whistle.
9-point spread. Missouri 67-58. Clock runs with 12:35 remaining. Alley-oop, sort of. Perry waits for his man to get off the floor, and Lee Perry has 7 tonight. I guess you call that a line drive alley-oop, huh?
Smith really put a body into the Rutgers offensive player trying to go to the top of the key. Wasn't guarding Perry at all. Perry stepped in.
Smith stuffed down low. Coming away, Craig Carter. Knights are running. Daryl Smith penetrates. Loses it to Doug Smith. This is a 4-on-2. 14-foot jumper. And it wouldn't go, and we almost had offensive goaltending on Peeler.
That's a 6'10" guy handling the ball in the middle of a fast break. Dribbles it through traffic, pulls up for a jump shot.
We'll see how costly that is to Mizzou, up by 7. Rutgers hanging tough. Hughes, little dipsy-do in the key. Got his own, the score and the foul.
Hughes and Duncan basically, Bob, taking over the ball game for Rutgers with some one-on-one moves. Hughes just beats Bunton. This is a great spin move. McIntyre very nearly gets the ball. Comes right back to Hughes. Bunton doesn't really block him out, and then Smith gets the foul, and Smith is going to have to sit down.
His third with number 34. McIntyre will sit, so will Coward.
If you're Nathan Bunton on that particular play, you've got to make sure that even though the guy has beaten you to the basket, that you get in good rebounding position, and Bunton did not.
Hughes with a 3-point play. He has 22, and it's a 4-point game with 11:41 remaining in the second half from Columbia, where the #1 Tigers have all they
by 10, has battled back to within 4 on the strength of some good moves by Earl Duncan, and this guy right here. Looked like he had a couple of steps in there, but heck, when it looks like this, that's all right. Dunks the ball, hits himself on the head. Just a great play by Hughes.
He almost headed the ball back out of the cylinder. That's how quickly it came down. A big-time move by Hughes, who has 22. Duncan has 21, and the Tigers have their hands full, up by 4 with 11.5 remaining.
And this is a critical stretch for Missouri right here. They've got 3 substitutes in the ball game right now, playing with starters Peeler and Bunton.
There's an air ball from Peeler. Might have been partially blocked on the baseline left.
Missouri lines up in that man-to-man. Rutgers, a nice recovery. And that's a walk.
Carter passed on the jumper and traveled.
Travis Ford, number 5 in the ball game for Missouri, along with 32 Jamal Coleman, 35 Sutton.
Coleman at the high post, and a reach-in foul on Mike Jones. It'll be number 3 on him.
Coleman doing a nice job coming hard to the basketball in that high post area.
Earl Duncan, 21 on the night.
Number 4, Lee Coward.
Lee Coward back in for the Tigers. He has 16 this evening. Role player Travis Ford has given him a couple of breathers tonight as he sits back down. Tiger crowd a little quiet here. They expected this one to be out of the question by now. They thought they'd be romping to a big win. Peeler too strong with the 3. Loose ball lost there by Brad Sutton, and the Scarlet Knights down by 4, still with a chance to cut it in half.
And it's been Hughes and it's been Duncan.
And look at Jones penetrate. It rolled in. Daryl Smith almost tipped it up there, but let it go, and luckily for the Knights, it fell in the cylinder.
And Missouri has seen their lead shrink to 2.
Peeler inside. Sutton, and he was fouled. On the foul, looks like Daryl Smith with his 2nd of the night. From non-conference play to the SEC we go tonight. Bama, great win over LSU on Sunday. They'll take on the Volunteers of Tennessee. David Benoit for the Tide, and 3-point bomber Greg Bell for the Vols tonight. Bama and Tennessee, great rivalry in that league.
And we've certainly seen some 3-point bombing here tonight, Bob.
Wow. Yeah, Greg Bell, what are you going to do to follow this game up? We got about 5 or 6 3-point bombers here tonight. Snipers all over the place. NBA action now in third period play. In the East, Miami and Phoenix are at the half.
Hold up here is while the officials get it straight with the scorers table who that last foul was called on. It was 32, Smith getting the foul. Smith back in the ball game now. All the starters back in from Missouri.
As we wrap up the NHL scores for you following Sunday's All-Star game. All the details later tonight on SportsCenter, and they're traveling there by Lee Coward. So now the team's starting to swap some turnovers, and that's something we just haven't seen much from Norm Stewart's team or from Bob Wenzel's squad tonight. They have really taken care of the ball pretty well.
That mantle of #1 getting a bit heavier and heavier as the game goes on here, Bob.
Turnaround, Hughes, short, rebound, running, Peeler, down the court, Coward, finger roll, and the follow, and there's goaltending on Perry. They'll probably get the basket to Button.
There were 6 Missouri hands, almost elbows up over the rim on this play. Nice defense cautions Coward to miss, but look at this. Smith hangs on the rim there, gets away with it.
Might have been Peeler with the final shot before the goaltending. Peeler now with 18 points.
Smith with a block.
McIntyre lost control. It belongs to the Scarlet Knights. McIntyre claiming it was slapped out of his hands, but the official ruled he just fumbled it out of bounds.
When you're on the fast break, Bob, if you don't have anything you want to pull up at the foul line, take a look, see where you are. McIntyre just kept going to the basket and had the ball stripped away, went off his legs out of bounds.
69-65, 9:15 remaining. Hughes up strong, too strong with the jumper. Darrell Smith keeps it alive, and back on top they go for 45 more.
It was a Smith screen that got Hughes open in the first place. Smith doing a nice job on the offensive boards as well.
And Smith with the steal. Loose ball, though, for Carter. Can't get it to fall. Offensive rebound, and from behind, Smith hammers his man, or was it McIntyre?
I believe the foul is going to be called against McIntyre, trying to strip the basketball as Perry has it underneath. Great effort by Rutgers on the board. Smith, number 32, that's Duncan with the basketball. Doing a nice job inside from the guard position.
Rutgers has spent another timeout, 8:55 left. 69-65, Ms. Dan with Chris Myers and TJ down in New Orleans, and Bob Lee from the studio. Media Day as they get ready for the Super Bowl at the Superdome. Got a pretty super game going here tonight. Every single poll, that is correct. It is a unanimous #1 for Missouri, but it's in jeopardy here tonight. Earl Duncan with 21 already tonight at the line after the foul by McIntyre.
It's amazing the way Rutgers just keeps hanging in the basketball game. Every time it looks like Missouri's taking control, Duncan hits a big free. Duncan hits a big shot. Hughes hits a big shot. It's just been a tremendous effort by the Scarlet Knights.
23 for Earl Duncan. 2-point game again. Missouri 69, Rutgers 67. Howard out there with Peeler, Smith, McIntyre, and Button.
Rutgers doing a nice job communicating on defense. If you watch them playing defense, they're pointing and talking to one another, which is what you have to do when you're going to play that kind of a game.
Smith with the slam on the alley-oop. The other Smith, Darrow, had fallen down. It was an open avenue to the hoop.
Darrow gives up about 5 inches to Doug, so I think it was a no contest any way you look at it.
At the other end, we have a reach-in foul.
Foul is going to be against Nathan Bunton, and just as Rutgers has done the entire game, you'd look for them in this situation almost. That big dunk by Smith, the crowd really gets going. Maybe they give up a little bit, but no, they go right down, put it in the hands of Hughes, who draws the foul.
Hughes, and Bunton gets another foul.
Nathan Bunton less than happy with the call. But Hughes doing a great job getting himself positioned down inside.
I was straight up, he indicates 2 or 3 times. Hughes will go to the line as Button has his 3rd personal.
You never want to confess your guilt, Bob.
Keith Hughes with his 23rd point of the night. This is the 9th time this year he's been over 20. His high, 35 against Virginia Tech. So he has that explosive capability. Missouri by 2, 71-69, down near the 8-minute mark remaining. Howard and McIntyre. Mack open down deep, and he snuck it over the iron.
Great catch inside by McIntyre. You've got to have some strength to play in there. McIntyre showing he's got some right there.
Smith for Perry. Way out there. And a 3 drained by Keith Hughes. 27 for him tonight. Too strong from Coward, keeping it alive. Button, and he sneaks it in. Nathan Button with 9 tonight. Missouri so tough on the boards.
Pretty high skill level right there to get the rebound. As he went up, he lost the ball, but recovered it and still put it in the basket.
Here's Hughes freelancing. Short. Got it back. Peeler was flat-footed on the rebound. And Peeler now scrambles with Daryl Smith.
Looks like Peeler's going to pick up that foul. Bob, we saw Nathan Button down on the offensive end get an offensive rebound and put it in the basket. On the defensive end, he played pretty good defense up until the point when Hughes shot the ball. Then he didn't block him out. So Hughes actually got the first rebound and created that situation where Peeler picked up the foul. You've got to block out, particularly a guy like Hughes.
Daryl Smith with 3 tonight. Out of Shelton, Connecticut. His father, Dave, a wide receiver in the pro ranks with the Steelers, the Oilers, and the Chiefs in years past. And this guy is a football type when he comes in. Coach Wenzel says he makes things happen one way or the other. After his miss, they get the offensive rebound with a chance to tie or take the lead with a 3. Baseline left, and Carter equalizes this one. His 4th points of the night, and it's 75 all with 6:40 remaining.
And you can just see the Rutgers players, their confidence level rising once again.
Entry pass, McIntyre to Smith. We had a whistle. Looks like they're pointing at Earl Duncan, who hurt his wrist on the play.
He's got that wrist taped coming in, and he really looks like he's in pain. At the end of the game, you give the ball to your horses. Here's Smith, what strength, getting that ball up through about 4 hands there, very nearly rolling it in.
They cannot afford to lose Duncan for the rest of this game. This is a team already without 18 points and 9 rebounds tonight from 2 players who are not eligible to play. Points for Doug Smith tonight, 10 as they continue.
Now you
can let the trainer as they continue to look at Earl Duncan.
Well, if you're Earl Duncan, you do not want to come out of this basketball game. You grit your teeth, you tape it up, and you go.
He's already got it taped, though. We'll see what he does now.
Tape it tighter.
Tape the tape. 2-point game. 6:20 remaining.
Missouri turning up the defensive tempo. Nice job by Rutgers to settle into the half-court offense.
Boy, Carter flashing into the lane. Can't hit it. Smith hanging in the air. Peeler almost knocked away. McIntyre down the court. 3-on-3. He'll pull up for the jumper.
Nice job by McIntyre to get control of the basketball with the dribble. Excellent stop and pop.
McIntyre with a new career high of 22 tonight. 12 over his average. And the Missouri faithful making the Hearnes Center rock. Hughes, Carter, Perry down deep. And the rebound by Button, and he is fouled. No, they're pointing at Nathan Button. And that will be 3 in short order for him in this half, and 4 in the game.
One official pointed at Nathan Button. Here's Perry operating against Button. Look at Peeler flying through there. I believe the foul is called against Carter. You can see the official pointing at Carter right there. And the reason they were pointing at Button was the player who was fouled, Bob. So had it been a 1-and-1, the officials always trying to make sure they know who's supposed to be going to that free throw line. The foul against Carter, 23. He goes out of the ball game. Duncan is back in.
His second. Button still with 3 for Missouri.
Five minutes, 15 seconds left in the ball game.
Howard, alley-oop in there, and too many red jerseys.
He didn't oop it quite high enough.
Well, Rutgers doesn't match up from that standpoint down there and enable them to get the steal. Here's Hughes. Turnaround, baseline left too strong. Skying for the offensive board and not getting it. Darrell Smith out of bounds on him.
That time you saw Bunton and Smith double team against Hughes. That was an extremely difficult shot. Good defensive adjustment by Missouri. Every time down it's been Hughes or Duncan, so it's a good idea to make sure those guys are covered up.
Peeler for 3. 21 for Anthony, and Missouri opens it up to 7. With 4.5 minutes remaining. Rutgers has 2 more timeouts to use tonight.
Missouri's run off 7 in a row, Bob.
Duncan into the lane. And Earl Duncan, sore wrist and all, has 25 points tonight.
And those 7 in a row that they've run off have been with Duncan out of the basketball game. With Duncan back in, he answers immediately. He's been doing that all evening.
Coward trying to force it inside for Button. Scarlet Knights took it away, and here they come. Duncan for Jones. Smith. He's got to make that shot with Hughes cutting off the defense. That was only about a 10 or 12 footer.
10 or 12 footer against the #1 team in the country with a couple minutes left in the game is a lot harder than it sounds.
Clock at 3.5. 5-point spread.
Missouri making sure they get set in the offense. Going to try to move that defense around.
Shot clock to 15. Howard and Peeler. McIntyre. Shot clock inside 10. Howard well long with it. Easy rebound for Lee Perry. Here comes Duncan for Smith. Got the roll. Darrell Smith has 5. Knights know they're still in it, down by only 3 as the clock runs by 2:50 remaining.
Duncan once again, Bob, he didn't get the hoop on that one, but he did the penetration, made the pass.
Well, Duncan had 71 assists coming into the game and averaging 31 minutes per outing, only turns the ball over 2 times per game.
He's really put on a show this evening.
Most of it in the scoring column. And there's a steal by Hughes, but Doug Smith got it back for Missouri. And then a moving foul along the baseline as Darrell Smith is called for his 3rd.
Not a very good pass inside by Anthony Peeler, but sometimes you got to pick up your teammates, and Smith did right there, getting that recovery, drawing the foul.
Timeout on the floor. 2:26 remaining. Rutgers out of the Atlantic 10, hanging tough with the number.
And down the stretch, Anthony Peeler has stepped forward once again. Peeler has done a great job from beyond the 3-point line, wide open, just drills that baby. He's got 21. He's having a tremendous basketball game.
And he can beat you in so many games. The assists, the steals, the points, 21 tonight, and also free throws. He was 14 of 14 against Kansas on Saturday. That's the win that gave Missouri the #1 ranking. Travis Ford is back in at the point with McIntyre. So Lee Coward gets a breather with just over 2 minutes remaining. Missouri by 3, 82-79.
You talk about Peeler's versatility. He's playing the high post now. cuts out of the high post to the wing.
Shot clock inside 15.
Peeler's alone.
Not for long. McIntyre with a man in his face. 25 for McIntyre, another career high, and he was being defensed that time. That was not an open three.
Shows a great shooting touch.
Missouri by 6. 1:30 remaining. And Duncan answers. 28 for Earl Duncan.
Boy, what an effort by Rutgers. Every time you think they're dead, here they come again. Another big possession for Missouri.
And you can't say the Tigers have lacked the killer instinct tonight. They certainly have. But Rutgers keeps getting up off the floor. Norm Stewart uses his first timeout, coming with 1:09 remaining. The timeout situation is this. Missouri has 3 remaining, and Rutgers has 2.
The Missouri Tigers of Norm Stewart have shown you every weapon in their arsenal tonight, Bob. They've been able to get the ball inside, not as frequently as they would like, but in the second half, Doug Smith has been able to get open in there a little bit more than in the first half. But the 3-point field goals, McIntyre, Coward, Peeler, playing very well from the perimeter for Missouri. And you'd have to say this man right here came in with a great game plan to cut off the inside. But John McIntyre, a career-high 25. That's not a short 3-point shot, by the way. That's a good 3-4 steps behind that line with somebody in his face. And if the Tigers are able to hang on and win here, it'll be in no small part due to the play of John McIntyre.
Norm Stewart's team 11 of 18 from 3-point range. Rutgers is 9 out of 16. Bob Wenzel, what a turnaround at Rutgers. They were 7 and 22 2 years ago. He came in last year and got them in the NCAA. A magical season, he called it, as they finished 3rd in the Atlantic 10. The Golden Girls doing their job as well tonight, as they always do. But what a job by the 2 clubs on the floor, especially the visitors, hanging tough with the nation's top-ranked team this evening. Missouri basketball with 1:09 remaining, and they lead by 3.
McIntyre out of the ball game, poured in.
Missouri now using the entire half of the court. There's the shot clock, lower left, game clock, lower right. Tigers lead it by 3. Peeler, Ford kicks it inside for Smith. Great assist by Travis Ford. Doug Smith has 13.
The key there was the quickness of the pass. Rutgers didn't have a chance to get set.
Answering with a jumper is Darrell Smith, and he has 7.
25 seconds.
3-point game. And a foul in the backcourt on Earl Duncan, his 2nd. Time may run out on the Scarlet Knights tonight, but this is a team in the middle of the Atlantic 10 at 4 and 3, hanging tough with the nation's best. Temple and UMass are the top 2 teams in that league, followed by Rhode Island, and then a 4th-place tie with Rutgers, West Virginia, and Penn State. But they look like a potential NCAA team the way they're playing here tonight. 21 seconds remaining. 2 key conference doubleheaders. St. John's and Providence hook up in a Big East battle, and North Carolina and Duke face off in an ACC clash coming up on Wednesday. ACC Big East Wednesday at 7 Eastern, starting live on ESPN tomorrow evening. And we've got the SEC coming up later on after Norm Stewart's Tigers and Bob Wenzel's Scarlet Knights get finished battling here in Columbia.
I guess when you coach for 29 years, you can afford to be so collected in the huddle in a game like this. Of course, he's got to feel pretty comfortable with Lee Coward headed to the free throw line. Coward, an 86% free throw shooter on the year. These fans showed up here tonight, I think, to celebrate the #1 ranking for their Missouri Tigers. I don't think that anybody expected the kind of basketball game that they've seen tonight. Just a tremendous effort by Rutgers. win or lose, it's got to be a great thing for Bob Wenzel to build on. You never like to lose as a coach, but certainly his players have to realize now that they can play with anybody in the country to come into #1 on their home court. Great effort.
Doug Smith on the inbounds play, fouled immediately by Keith Hughes. #1 on Hughes tonight, who's had an unbelievable night with 27 points.
And that will be the bonus now. That last foul was foul number 6, so Coward not going to the free throw line.
But Smith is only a 67% shooter. Lee Perry back in for Rutgers as Jay McGinnis took a seat. There's the poor free throw shooting by the big man. Knights come away with it, down by 3, 15 seconds remaining. Hughes wants to tie it, but it's going to be an air ball.
He has been so good from three-point range all night. That one nowhere close. Nobody sees Bunton. He's alone under the other basket.
Smith to throw it in for Travis Ford. They beat him at half court. Ford with it. And a reach-in foul on Keith Hughes. Not intentional. It'll be a 1-and-1.
Hughes made a legitimate play at the basketball, and that's all you really have to do to prevent it from being an intentional foul. You know, if you're Bob Wenzel coming in here, you can see Bob asking his team to get a timeout, but all you can ask for is at the end of the game, you're in a position where you can win the ball game, and they certainly were.
Rutgers with a timeout. 6 seconds remaining. Missouri at the line, up by 3.
$1 million computers like these weren't built to withstand hard knocks. So when they wanted to move them cross country, they called
Giving Missouri all they can handle here tonight. Down by 3, but the Tigers have the ball at the line with the Big H best free throw shooter. 6 seconds remaining as Travis Ford will step to the stripe.
The only hope for Rutgers right now is that Ford misses this first free throw. Rutgers doesn't have any timeouts left, I don't believe.
You are correct. Ford, 40 out of 45 this year.
So even if he makes one, that's 4 points. Rutgers goes down and scores. Missouri doesn't have to take the ball out of bounds. That's the game right there, because now even if Rutgers goes down and scores the three-pointer, Missouri doesn't even have to take the ball. They've got 5 seconds to inbound the ball. There's only 6 seconds left in the game.
Somebody holds up a sign that says start the bus. Tigers will be playing Matador defense here in a moment. Ford with his only 2 points of the night. Clock running. Duncan for 3. Short, and the game is over. Missouri 89, Rutgers 84, but what a great effort by the Knights on the road in Columbia.
It's something, Bob, that we certainly didn't expect. The Scarlet Knights doing a tremendous job. You mentioned they're down 2 of their regular players and still able to come in on the home court of the #1 team in the country and put on a display like that. Great effort by Rutgers.
A team that was missing from its starting lineup, 18 points and 9 rebounds, but they almost upset the #1 team in the nation. For Dan Bonner, Bob Carpenter from Columbia, back to Chris Fowler.
Thanks, Bob. Rutgers fans may be a little bit disappointed with the 8-10 record, but remember, they had a tough schedule and a very game effort against Missouri. Keith Hughes, the terrific night, but he may be left with only the memory of the air ball three-pointer that would have tied the game. We're going to go to Alabama, Tennessee, coming up in just a few minutes. Both teams 4-2 in the SEC. The tie with that great defense. Tennessee with a high-scoring backcourt. First, a check of the scoreboard. Syracuse in the Dome, looking to improve their Big East record to 4-3. They lead Pitt by 8 points. About 7.5 minutes to go in that one. Seton Hall, another Big East game, leading Boston College by 4 in the second half. Pirates have won 3 straight against BC. South Florida and Maryland, the Terps pulling away. A 20-point lead in this one now in the second half. DePaul is in Detroit. The Blue Demons win it by 5, 87-82. 10 of 11 now for the Blue Demons. Centenary against Baylor, and the Bears getting all they can handle from Centenary. It is 41-40 at halftime. Norton Stewart and company are happy. The Tigers have defended their #1 ranking. Let's go back now to Columbia, Missouri, the Hearnes Center. Bob Carpenter standing by with the Tigers coach, Norm Stewart.
Final score in the ball game, Missouri winning 89-84. Coach Norm Stewart, really a battle on your hands, but a big win for your ball club.
Well, I think, again, what I said, it's a good win, obviously. But everybody's playing. I thought they played extremely well. I thought Rutgers really played an outstanding basketball game, but we won. Our guys seem to find a way. I don't know how, I don't think we're really playing well. Maybe John can tell you, but we're winning, and that's great.
Well, John, of course, you never want to disagree with your coach, so don't you dare say you're playing well. But you come in the ball game tonight. What a great three-point shooting display.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the key of this year's team. And when somebody else is down, there's another guy comes in and picks the team up.
Now, were you surprised with, of course, with Rutgers playing down inside? You had a lot of openings out there.
That's what happens when they start, guarding Doug and Nate inside. It frees up the three-pointer.
Coach, it must be a very comfortable feeling when they are guarding your guys inside to just stick somebody in the ball game and he drills it for 25.
Yeah, we got to keep this guy loose because he can shoot